Okay, so while I still have a phone and internet, even though it's probably highly hacked and controlled, I guess I'm gonna try to do another testimony here thing, message in a bottle thing. More proof that I'm in some type of staged version of my house. Okay, my original house in Wallington is beige, not off-white. The original steps out here in Wallington. Look, you even heard that? That was like a gunshot. Were about yay high. Look how low this shit is. When my parents would throw things out, they would come and collect it. For example, this is our old grill, but they came and collected it. They would take all our trash for years and years and years, ever since I was little, our trash and our yard sales. And that's why even my mom, she used to like brag, oh my God, we made $400 from the yard sale. Yeah, at the expense of having your children kidnapped by cults. Okay? Government cults that are very high level and have a lot of money backing them. Because I believe they're in the business of like child trafficking and things like that. Now, those are just two bigger things that I noticed through time. Like I said, they might have had two staged areas on two separate islands somewhere. And on both of those staged areas, they used this off-white aluminum siding, and you could even see it was like really cheaply done. Look, it was either cheaply done or they moved the house that was in the bigger staged area into this smaller staged area, and that's just marks from them moving the whole house. Now, I'm gonna get into how they've been doing a lot of these flip-flopping things through time. Because what they would do is, for example, say me and my family were going down the shore. They would come into the house at night, keep everybody asleep, kidnap me, keep me asleep while they're kidnapping me. I don't know how they fucking do this. I was told it's something called, their slang term is sticks or sandman dust and things like that. That's what in Black Ops and intelligence and military they call it. And what they would do is they would kidnap me during the night. They would put the guy who looks like me, who towards the end was dyeing, I believe he was dyeing his hair brown in order to fully look like me, to my real family, and putting in contact lenses at times. Because from what I heard, he has blue eyes, I have brown. And I believe the way that they might have pulled that off is because I remember overhearing a government agent saying that if they bring me back and switch us again, they don't want to go through all the hacking work. So in other words, what they would do is they would change all your medical paperwork, all your DMV, all your different stuff to show as if you have blue eyes at that point, rather than brown eyes. And that's why even one girl told me, she's like, you should steady go to the doctor and things like that. And because they even confiscated my dental records at one point so that they could give the lookalikes this. They made like grills to give them the same teeth. But I'm gonna go through some of these pictures that they left here. Now keep in mind, I had fucking 7 photo albums. 7. There's only 2 now, and they left me with nothing but staged picture clues. And that's why in the real Wellington, if something did happen, let's say to my brother as a kid, like let's say he was like kidnapped or something, I think it's important for my real parents and real sister to know they got us all, just in a different way. Sorry, distress. The stress is making me nauseous. Which is another thing about my original father. I know he used to get very nauseous from stress. And I always remembered my father having green, hazel greenish eyes. The guy that's upstairs right now, this guy got jet blue eyes. And I'm just like, what the fuck? That's what actually started making me catch on. Not just that. Well, I'm going to get into this when I get into some of these, what appears to be either staged photos or photos where they would kidnap me when my family was going somewhere specific, and they would insert the lookalike. I think that's one tactic that they were using on me. They would kidnap me that night, get me out of my bed, because I'm pretty light. Like I'm a slimmer build guy, I'm only about close to 6 foot, and maybe about 50 at max when I'm getting big. So what I believe they would do is they would put the look-alike of me in my bed, so my family would wake up that morning. They'd all head out to wherever the trip was, the beach, this, that, whatever, right? And then they would place me back in the room. They would bring the staged family into the house, and then we'd all go as if, it was my legit family. And if you're not paying attention to these certain details, you're not going to notice. And I noticed that, especially if they're doing it to you when you're really little. And I believe the purpose of them doing this to me was because they were using me as some type of cover. I remember a government agent even saying, like, I made my first million off of this guy. And that's why I think these people are into CT. You do the math, CT. traffickers. And what they would do is they would bring me back to the real place to pull an operation on somebody and frame me as if I'm some, they're trying to, it seems like they're trying to almost like, but then they would bring me back to the stage place to hide me towards the later years. And it seems like what they're trying to pull is they have the real bad guy in the family. And what he would do is, because they might have my parents brainwashed to not notice, but he would wear like a prosthetic nose tip or something like that, and then he plays off like, no, I'm the real Jason trestkA. It's the other guy with the big nose that's trying to frame me, even though the real Jason trestkA is the guy with the big nose, with the pointy tip. You know? And that's how they would pull this off. It was almost like having the guy that's involved with the traffickers inserted into the family, and then him crying that the real me is the guy framing him, even though he was the guy framing the real me while he pretends to be the real me. That's what has been pretty much been going on ever since I was a kid, pretty much. And that's why I do know my real family, but I don't know how well I know them at this point. I know I had 7 photo albums, and they gave me this, a pile of pictures, most of them staged when they were getting into our house when we were little. And 1 photo album there, 1 photo album here. Now here's where I get into the details of how they would do this, I believe on a trip, how they were doing it to me. This is me at 17, supposedly. Not sure if that's my stage sister or real one at that point. Not sure if this is the staged house or the real one at that point. It might be the staged house though, because look. The wall. The wall should not look like that. That's like old looking wall. And not just that. Oh shit, these are staged pics. That's not me. They must have been stealing my stuff. You know why? This plant right here. And that's supposedly my brother. Now, I remember having those sweat stains on that hat, but that hat I threw away. My mom's like, throw that away, it's covered in sweat stains. So this could very well be staged, fully staged pics. They have lookalikes of everybody. I remember them saying, we had to get lookalikes of all his friends and family and co-workers and teachers and all this different shit. Now, getting into the hall vacation thing. Now, this is weird, because where's Michael? Where's Michael? Notice how they only gave me very specific pictures, and none of them have Michael. Now, here's another thing. My original dad had very hairy legs. Look at this guy. He looks like he shaves his fucking legs. which even the current guy, dude, not only does he shave his legs, but the dude's got bullet wounds in the back of his calf. Battle fucking wounds and shit. Now here's the thing. Look, notice there's all these pictures missing from this. They just took a select few pictures. And that's why I don't even think this is me. Because where is my brother even in these? He would be in these, I believe. This was supposedly Wildwood or Seaside Heights or one of those. Not just that, but where's... Okay, well, maybe my mom would be taking the pictures. But where's my brother? Or unless this is the real me. Weird. And then we're into these. These look staged. These look fully staged. Even my grandmother. Something looks fully staged and wrong about these. And they almost always used these two look-alike cousins. Look, even my aunt, she looks way different in this. My aunt had a pointy nose, dude. My mom and all her sisters had the fucking pointy nose. I know because I inherited it. This lady has more of a nose like my look-alike. Something is off about that lady. Same thing about this sister. Something is off about all of this. Now, these look familiar. See, that's the long sleeve green shirt I was talking about. I never had a short sleeve green shirt like that. Let's see. That's me with my supposed sister. That's me with my supposed sister again. That's supposedly my brother. And here's the weird thing. That would have been my brother's 8th grade graduation, right? Again, there's some weird stuff. My Aunt Hetty, round nose instead of pointy nose again. It's almost like they put me with the wrong family for a while, possibly. Now I remember dressing like this. That's supposedly my brother again and my sister. I remember dressing like this during these teen years. I used to... But what happened to all my other photo albums? I had a good 7 fucking photo albums, dude. They had to have given it to the look-alike kid. And that's the crazy part. The guy with the smaller nose, that's sort of a... Look, you see my aunt with the... That doesn't look like her. Something is off. Something is extremely off. It's me with my cousin, supposedly. But look, now the cousin, the scar is missing again. The scar by the eye. The birthmark. And that's what I'm talking about here. They were like, that's my brother, supposedly, with the graduation. It's me, supposedly, my brother again. He seems to have the right nose. But look, this is all stage 2. He looks way different in this picture. Look at him compared to this. Look. Just like that. That's not the same me. These cults are fucked up and sick and weird. Just like this with my dad. By this time, he was already losing all his teeth and stuff. And look. Look at the teeth. They were swapping people in and out like crazy in my family. Well, that looks like my sister. That looks like me. And that's where my brother's nose changed. And my sister. This whole thing. It's fucked up. Now, do I remember skating with my sister in the living room before they put the carpet in? Yes. Now, do I remember looking like this? Yeah, vaguely. Let's see. Now, certain things are off. For example, this bike. That's not me. That's not me. At this age, the picture that I took on the bike was a black with green Huffy. Still had almost the BMX style with the training wheels and stuff like that. But it was a black and green Huffy. And I even remember, because as time went on, I started recognizing that they were using artificial telepathy on me. And as time went on, look, like this. Whose house is this? I never lived in a house like this. Ever. 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 My parents bought this house back, the house in Wallington, back when I was born. But I noticed as what the artificial telepathy was. Like these things that I was hearing, I didn't know what it was. And the artificial telepathy even told me back then, it said, oh, you guys, we staged pictures with bicycles, but you guys, they couldn't get the same bike that I legitimately had, which was like a black bike with the green writing, the Huffy. So they ended up using a different bike. In other words, they didn't have this like huge budget when they first started this, but they were always breaking into our house and taking pictures and staging stuff, because I remember even my friends would come up to me, oh, Jay, your mom called me and invited me over to play video games on Saturday, and it was really weird because she took a bunch of pictures of us and then she rushed me and said I had to go home. And I was like, dude, I was out with my family at the mall that Saturday. Like, what are you talking about? So, pretty much the gist of this is some weird child trafficking cult was stalking my family ever since my parents got married. And they were looking for look-alike kids of everybody. And ultimately, what I believe happened is they infiltrated with these lookalikes. So, a good example, the way it works is just that, like, they would do random kidnappings, and then certain people they bring back, whoever they're using or whatever. So, like, let's say they needed a lookalike of my dad in the house that night. He would get, something would happen to him, possibly at work. They would kidnap him, keep him sleeping, brainwash him to forget. And then they would bring him back into his bed the following day as if nothing happened, because they needed a lookalike in the house to act something out. They keep saying my whole life was staged. Yes and no. That's the thing. Because there was even one incident I remember at school, in first grade, right? They put a look-alike of the girl that sat in front of me, and they brought in like a look-alike of my teacher, even. Like the guy said, we had to find lookalikes and run operations on so many houses through time to pull this off. And I remember the girl saying, ow, I'm telling. And I was like, what? I didn't do anything. And she tells the teacher, Jason pulled my hair. And I was like, no, I didn't. And then the teacher was like, Jason, you're going to have to stay after class. And I was getting really nervous after class. And because my mom used to walk to the school and pick us up. You know, we only lived a couple blocks from the school. And that's when, what's it called? She finally lets me go. And my mom is still down there. And I'm like, where's Danielle? And she goes, oh, I brought her home already. Now, it wasn't my mom. It was a lookalike of her with a similar car. We get into the car, and she goes, no, well, as we're getting into the car, I remember the telepathy saying, before I even came up to her, now in hindsight, I remember it. It was saying, that's not your mom. Just run home. And, so I'm looking at this lady. It looks like my mom. She talked and sounded like my mom. And I was just like, where's Danielle? She's like, oh, I brought her home already. Come on, let's go. And she goes, get in. And I was like, why? Why do we gotta get in the car? We live right there. Because you gotta know, like, at this point, I'm like 6 years old, probably. And she goes, oh no, we gotta go to the store first. Now I get in the car, and she fucking turned on me, talking to me. And now you gotta understand, as soon as I got in the car, the telepathy said, well, you just got kidnapped. And I remember she started accusing me of some shit. She's like, were you in your brother's room? You blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, Ma. And then she's like accusing me of some shit. But now, keep in mind, I remember looking down the street before I got in the car, and there was a bunch of police cars outside my house. And I even asked her, I was like, what's the police car? She's like, don't worry about that. And she's like, were you in your brother's room? No, Mama, I swear, blah, blah, blah. That was the lookalike kid that they were already sending in. And she's like, tell me the truth, blah, blah, blah. And I remember the artificial telepathy letting me listen in, because it was probably communicating with her or something. And they told her, he's telling you the truth. I don't think it's a good idea to kidnap him. So then she sticks me with something. I fall asleep. When I wake up, she acted like we just took a drive around. We pull up to what appears to be my house. I get in. I obviously, like I said, this is like a staged place. I get in. The telepathy told me, that's not your house. Don't worry. Your brother even said he doesn't even know what happened. He doesn't remember. We're gonna bring you back. And so I walk into the yard. A lady comes to the door who also looks like my mom. Because my mom from the car told me, hey, just play in the backyard. And I'm playing in the backyard. She comes to the back door. Oh, Jay, you're here. Don, you don't need to call the police. Jay's right here. And then as soon as I got into the house, they stuck me again. Because I don't remember anything after that. But then one day I woke up in my real bedroom again with my real family, I believe. I don't know. I do know the last time I was there, because you got to understand, they would stage girlfriends too. So let's say it was the child trafficking look-alike of me that was living with my parents when the real me who was over here started talking to Lily, right? They would have the look-alike of me date the real Lily, and they would put me with a look-alike of Lily. And the last time I was in the right place, I was going, because the house was still beige. My parents must have kept the house beige till the very end, until something else happened. Because I got into a fight with the look-alike of Lily over her cheating or some shit. I stole her phone. I remember the artificial telepathy now at that time saying, which is pretty much, it's called voice of God weapons or whatever. It was saying, it was letting me listen in to what it was telling the military look-alike girl. And it was telling her, we stuck the real parents to sleep. So don't worry if you gotta ring the doorbell. And at that same time, the telepathy was telling me, Jay, look at the bushes. That's the right bushes, right? Look at the color of the house. It's beige. You're in the right place. Stop worrying about this girl cheating and run. And so there was somebody trying to get through to me to help me. But yeah, like, and then what they would do is the following night, like, let's say I didn't run, I would come back into the house and they would kidnap me all over again and bring me to this fake spot. Every time they only brought me to the real spot for these key weird things. Or back when I was going to the city all the time. Because they said that, like, they didn't stage the whole city. It's just too hard to replicate New York City, you know, with the buildings and everything else. So anytime I was going to New York City, I was pretty much in the right place. Because even I remember last year, well, from what I know is last year, they mess with your phones and hack stuff. But I was at the 9/11 memorial with possibly Lily and a look-alike family, or a look-alike of Lily and possibly her real family. Who knows at this point? And I remember the voice of God weapons telling me, Jay, she's not gonna let you go back home with her, but you're in New York City. That means you're in the right place. Maybe don't go home. Just go somewhere from here. And it even told me, you don't believe me? Check. And at that point, back then, I still thought it was my own thoughts or schizophrenia or things like that. But I did. I asked Lily, I was like, Lily, can I go home with you? Can we go back to your place? No, I think it's better if you go home. But I think they only brought me back to the real place when they needed to frame me for something, or to make me appear to be the look-alike of the real me. And that's why I even remember, in other words, they're flipping everything in reverse. The real me became the look-alike, and that's why they kept stealing my IDs. They kept stealing my IDs, replacing them with fake ones. They kept hacking every single account I've ever had. They were doing like all this crazy shit to make me look like the fake guy. And that's why I have reason to believe in the real America. The fake guy who's actually responsible, the one with a different nose, he was wearing a prosthetic tip to frame me. And he's responsible for any of those bad things that possibly happened to my family or happened in the real New Jersey, New York. He's the one responsible. And they played it off by bringing me to this fake, staged-looking New Jersey, by bringing me out there to frame me, but then bringing me back here to like hide, almost like, who is this guy? Who is this guy pretending to be Jason trestkA? When meanwhile, I am the real one. And that's because they were running. I remember one government agent telling me this. He said, we don't watch people, we watch houses. So in other words, they have target houses, and the moment that my parents bought that house in Wallington, we were targets. We were targets of this shit. Because they already were making copies of keys to get in. They would put people to sleep, brainwash them to forget. They were using all types of spy and military technology and operations on my family. And that's why I mean these are like probably high-level traffickers, because from what I understand, the reason why they kept doing this to me for so long is because they were like, oh, we're making billions off of this guy. Billions. Off of just framing him. And running this operation where we make him appear to be the fake guy while the fake guy pretends to be the real Jason trestkA, infiltrates the family while crying about the same thing. Except everybody's listening to him because he's in the real place. So everybody's listening to him like, yeah, no, it's some other guy framing me. Meanwhile, it's him all along. I kind of figured out what this all is, dude. Just based on my experiences. And that's why they keep trying to tell me, the ones out here, they keep gaslighting me. They're like, no, you were here all along. You were here all along. I couldn't have been here all along. Because as they said, they didn't stage New York City. So that when I got into even a fight with my father and I was out of the house for a while, I was constantly going in and out of New York City. During that time period, they didn't really do much to me. They allowed me to stay in the right place. I believe. I don't know. At this point, they've been doing these flip-flops with me since I was a kid that I wouldn't even know at this point. I just know that when I first got my driver's license, if this guy has blue eyes or some shit, when I first got my driver's license, dude, it was a legit one and it had brown eyes, because I even remember the telepathy telling me, oh, you beat him to the punch with getting the license, but we can change all of that later. And that's why I believe they even went back into my old medical records, hacked stuff, hacked the DMV, did all this stuff and changed it. Because from what I understand, this guy has completely different color eyes. And that's why if my real parents are still around, they should notice that. But he might be putting in brown contacts when he sees them. Who knows? But they should notice that. Like, you, dude, your son originally had brown eyes, dude. Like, he never had blue or whatever the fuck eyes. And, apparently, what they do is they keep framing you. And from my understanding, another country found out about this mock island that they have over here, or whatever it is, and or it's a base, like a USA military base on the island that they staged for practice, like a practice town, you know, for real life scenarios and stuff like that. But apparently these same traffickers sold me off to the Asians. And they're treating me like a prisoner. Because even when, the one day when Lily came over, she's like, dude, your parents put a deadbolt on the lock outside. They're treating you like a prisoner. Like she was dropping hints here. Because she was a lookalike in on it. These are some high-level government fucking trafficker motherfuckers that have been fucking with my family since my parents got married. And they've been framing me since I was a toddler. And that's what I never understood. Because people were always calling me things that I'm not. I was always like, and the only reason for that, to gaslight me in that way, is if somebody's benefiting from it. You know, somebody's benefiting from accusing people of being things that they're not, and then framing everything to look that way. It's like, oh, this guy likes, and when I was in my 20s and stuff, oh, this guy likes MILFs and stuff. Well, that kind of goes against, that's the total opposite of what we're trying to frame him as. So how do we do this? That's what they were doing, because I even remember the telepathy telling me back then. They're like, oh, they made you into that because somebody's trying to protect you. It's like, you know, that's just how I really was. And that's because of James, you motherfucker, and your stupid uncle. Yeah, that. Not your uncle like that, but like, I don't know. He might remember. He would probably remember though. His uncle's stash, let's just say, of stuff. And yeah, but that's what I mean though. Like they've been even long before any of that, they were already operating on my family in this way. And they were framing me since I was a toddler and doing these weird flip-flops as well as staging stuff. I even remember a kid encountering me. It was possibly the lookalike that they replaced me with back when I was a preteen. And he comes up to me and he says, he's like, when your family isn't home, I go to your house and I used to play with your toys and take pictures and blah blah blah. And like, I'm telling you, man, that's one of the ways that they did this, is they would like stage these fake photos that ultimately they gave me in the end. And I just want all my real photo albums. I had like 7 of them. I want my real ones, you know? Like, because this is just fucked up. And I want my real baby book. I remember when I was like 15 years old, I decided to look through my baby book. And I read what my father and mother wrote to me. This other baby book that I have, that's not what they wrote. My dad wrote a full fucking page letter to me. This one, it's like a quarter of a page and it just says some dumb shit in it. Some dumb shit that you could tell was like somebody that didn't really even know me or give a fuck about me. And that's because the lookalike of me, who's been framing me with CIA-style prosthetics and government shit, framing the real me as if I'm some unknown guy, already infiltrated the family. And that's how they've been getting away with this. And he has my real IDs, my real bank account, which just recently they fucking took hold of, my real fucking photo albums, my real baby book, my real scrapbook, even my scrapbook. I'm like, why is there shit missing? Like when I went to see, for example, Cats in New York City, that shit's missing. Or just different things, man. And the reason why this guy probably, well, the last time one of the Lily lookalikes told me, she's like, right now, he knows he's not you. He doesn't really want to be you. He knows what happened to you, and he actually kind of feels bad himself. But apparently, the government has some type of conscious swap, memory swap technology, and that's what this all is going to come down to, where they're going to actually, in the end, make this guy legitimately believe that he is me. And that's why I've been hanging on to my memories. I even remember when I ended up in the hospital from like an attempted suicide 15 years ago, maybe more. The one government agent asked me, he's like, do you want to really, do you want to remember, what he said is, do you want to remember what really happened to you? And also, do you want to remember who you really are? And I just said, yeah, of course, I want to know what all this is. What the hell is going on? And I remember him saying, the other guy said the same thing. In other words, my look-alike or whatever, the clone of me or whatever. He's like, he said the same thing. He wants to know. And I don't know, man. I just know that there was one agent as well that said, like, the government doesn't do these unless there's hundreds of reasons. So you got the cult's reason. Oh, we're gonna switch our cult kid who was born off the grid and has no identity with this real guy. The experimentation reason. Oh, we're gonna fuck with this artificial telepathy, memory erasing, memory swapping technology. 3, the illegal racketeering element, which I believe is sea trafficking. Where a lot of, the criminals are making money off of it. 4, whatever this is out here, this whole staged town. If they put this in another country, this could be some type of development that the U.S. government, maybe Army Corps of Engineers, is getting paid to do. Then there's a real estate mobbing aspect to it. Look, even that car, whoop whoop, the police car, dude, it's the old white and blue Wallington police cars, the ones from the fucking 90s. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah. There's also a real estate mobbing aspect, because think about it. If a guy who's pretending to be me, who framed me as the guy pretending to be him committing all these crimes when it was actually him, right? Let's say he buys the house from my parents, and then they turn the house into condos and flip it for millions and millions. You see what I'm saying? There's so, like that agent told me, he's like, we do these for 100 fucking reasons. It's not just one fucking reason, dude. And that's why that same agent said, I think he told people, like, good luck gaslighting this guy, because he's gonna figure out what's going on here, and he's gonna realize, like, no, I'm being gaslit by the actual people responsible, and they just want to make me feel like, oh, it's something you did, you caused this, and that's why don't ever listen to that gaslighting and shit, because it's bullshit. It's just bullshit. These people infiltrate your house. They get lookalikes of your family to infiltrate your house. There's no such thing as a locked up house with these black operation people and stuff. And from what I heard, my parents are finally locking up the gates, my real parents, because they started realizing people are getting in, but it's too late. Your kid is over here in a foreign fucking island somewhere. Your real kid. And he was replaced with this other kid that just knows enough about me to play off being me. And he's responsible for any of the acts committed against our family through the years. If something happened to any of my siblings, it was him. But yeah, that's all I could think of right now.